US Secretary of State Antony Blinken held talks with the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan today, part of efforts to prevent the Israel-Hamas conflict from escalating. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is also scheduled to meet with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Al Ulfa before proceeding to Israel. Now, this marks Blinken's fourth trip to the region since the conflict initiated with Hamas attacking the southern Israel Strip on 7th of October. And for more on Antony Blinken's trip to the Middle East, DD India's Trent Murray is reporting from Tel Aviv.
Well, the Israeli Defense Forces reported intensive fighting within southern Gaza overnight, saying that it struck 30 significant targets, in its words, belonging to Hamas, including weapons depots, underground infrastructure, as well as buildings being used by the militant group. But while that fighting takes place, we do know that UN agencies are continuing to warn about the escalating humanitarian crisis. The WHO has said today that it was forced to cancel a medicine delivery to northern Gaza overnight after initially being given security guarantees. It says it's now been 12 days since it's been able to reach northern Gaza. That particular part of the strip is now under operational control of the Israeli army. They say there are still some sporadic attacks there by Hamas militants, but they believe they have now dismantled the broader military framework within that part of the north. Of course, while there's a lot of focus on the battlefield, we also know in the diplomatic arena there is much activity taking place, with the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken currently in this region, not only getting ready to talk to the Israelis, but also having discussions with other regional heavyweights like Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Qatar. We understand there are three main focuses as part of those discussions, including the immediate situation on the ground in Gaza, with many of those governments calling on Washington to use its influence to get Israel to announce a ceasefire, but also discussions about what happens next, the day after the war, if you will. Washington would certainly like to see some of Israel's neighbours like Jordan and Egypt play a stronger role in the governance of Gaza moving forward, potentially even helping set up a technocratic government that would not involve Hamas. That is simply a red line for the Israeli government. And also, just briefly, the broader concern here about this conflict escalating. We know in Lebanon there's been continued rocket fire from the Lebanon-based Hezbollah group. The IDF is now saying it's launched its own strikes on those launch sites within Lebanon. It comes as many here hope that the diplomacy can be dialed up in order to try and dial down the tensions.